everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I am sorry, my desk is a mess, I'm a mess, and my room's a mess, but you know what? Y'all don't see that, so it's okay. Today I wanted to do my first pregnancy experience story slash birth story slash whatever else I can think of. But before we get into that, please subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up if you like it, share with your friends and family. You can follow me on my other social medias, they are listed down below, and you can turn on my bell notifications so you know when I post. So let's get into this. So I got pregnant with Evelyn June 2017. I was 21, I think, 22. I think I had to have been, I was 22. Either 21 or 22. Sorry, I don't remember. And I found out the day before we moved into the duplex. No, actually I found out that Wednesday, so it was what, like June 30th maybe? I don't know how many days are in June. Like, I don't think that every month has a 31st. But you know what? I don't know. And I'm not looking at the calendar. I'm a little foggy in my brain. But I found out a few days before we moved into the duplex together. And I took a test that Friday, July 1st. And it was still positive. So that day, we moved into our duplex, me and David. And I had hidden the test in a shoebox, but the shoebox had silverware in it, obviously still in the packaging. No, the test was not dirty, yada yada yada. And it was a digital test. It was one of the clear blue ones, not sponsored. And he carried that inside and he like put it down, and then he kind of opened it, saw it, and he was like, I don't know if I was supposed to open that. And so then he opened it again, and that's how he found out. Now I'm one of those crazy pee on a stick addicts. Like, I love peeing on a stick. Actually, I don't pee on a stick, I just kind of dip it in. But you know what? That's not the point. I took so many tests before I got my positive with Evelyn. And the funny thing is, we weren't even trying to get pregnant, but we weren't preventing it. You know what I mean? Like, we had discussed kids, but we never actually like said flat out, hey, we're trying for our first kid, because we were young. But I thought it was a good way to start off our journey together. But yeah, and then July 4th, I tried crab for the very first time. Now, his family's from Maryland, so they're like crazy about seafood and crabs. And so I decided to try it, and that next day started my morning sickness. Now, everybody is different, so my experiences are probably different than a lot of other people's experiences, but my morning sickness was so bad that I had to quit my job, and I'm not even exaggerating. I was so dehydrated. I could not get off the couch. I was so nauseous. I wasn't eating. I lost like 15 pounds. Not really 15 pounds, maybe 10 pounds. And when I was 7 weeks pregnant, I decided, okay, well, let's just go to the doctor and get some medicine. Well, we went to the doctor. It wasn't my OB at the time. It was like a women's health center that's like close to the hospital out here. And they made me, take, I guess it was a drug test or a pregnancy test. I don't know. And the nurse came in and she was like, well, you need some medicine. You complain about being nauseous, and you're also about 7 weeks pregnant. And me being the dummy that I am, I was like, oh, I thought I was, but I wasn't, 100% sure. I knew that I was pregnant. Okay, I found out when I was 3 weeks and 5 days. So I had known for like almost 4 weeks. And she tried to write me a prescription for Diclegis. My insurance, of course, denied that because it's expensive. So I didn't really get to take anything. I just kind of had to suffer some more because my insurance wouldn't cover it. So then I finally called my current OB to schedule my very first appointment with him. I love my OB, okay? He is super cool. He's not judgmental. He's very kind and very understanding, and he always answered my questions. I saw him around 11 weeks and got my first ultrasound. I'll insert a picture. And I lost it, because seeing that tiny little baby squirming around in there, she kind of looked like a sea turtle. I was in love, okay? Now she's a little evil thing, but you know what? That's okay. She's just like me. And so then we left and, you know, went back home and still sick. He did tell me to take Unisom and B6 because he tried to write me a prescription for diclesias and they denied that too. So I had the worst morning sickness and it lasted up until like 28 weeks. I was miserable. I only had 1 week where it was gone completely, and that was the week we went to Florida. So, yeah. I obviously never been pregnant before. Didn't know what to expect from labor and delivery. I delivered at a hospital about 36 minutes away. So, you know, I was a little paranoid that, you know, I wouldn't make it in time. But I don't remember, I think March 2nd, because my due date was March 13th or 12th, one of those days. March 2nd, me and David went to labor and delivery because I thought I was having contractions, and my OB had checked me prior to going and he said I was already dilating. I was about 2 centimeters, I think. So I went to labor and delivery and I was like, hey, I think I'm having contractions. I don't know what to do. So obviously they put me in the trauma room and, you know, we're checking, you know, seeing if that was the case. They were monitoring me with the NST machine. And of course, nothing. Like, I was not dilating anymore. So they were like, well, you can get up and walk. You know, so I walked for maybe an hour and then I went back and they checked me again. No change. So they sent me home. Well, it was about 7 o'clock in the morning by the time I got home because we went at like 3 maybe. I don't remember. I know David wasn't working because he was off that night. So we got back around 6, 7 a.m. and I took a Unisom because I could not sleep to save my life. And if you've ever taken like Benadryl or Unisom or melatonin to fall asleep, if you try to fight that, you get all like groggy and you're just like, I can't keep my eyes open. And I was like this close to passing out when my OB decides to call. I couldn't even answer the call. Like, I was trying to swipe on my phone and I just kind of passed out. And I had my appointment that Monday, March 5th. And he was like, I tried to call you to tell you to go back to the hospital. I guess he was gonna like have me induced or something. But we went to my appointment, and prior to going to that appointment, the night of that, so it was about 1 o'clock in the morning, David was at work. He came home for work because he used to come home for lunch all the time. And I was like, I'm not feeling well, you know. I feel kind of crampy, my back hurts. And he was like, well, just go to bed. Because I was up till like 1 o'clock in the morning when he came home. So I ended up going to sleep. I slept through it. And I go to the doctor the next day, like that morning. And he was like, yeah, you are in labor when I get there. Like, I got to my OB's office and he's like, yeah, you're in labor. What? What do you mean I'm in labor? I still got a week to go. But I always know babies will come early or late, you know. You can't control that. So he stretched my cervix twice, which is not fun. And he ended up telling me, okay, well, when your contractions get closer and closer together, go to the hospital. He's like, but you can obviously go before that if you're like that much pain. Because I was supposed to go at 3. And we got back to the duplex. We had some lunch. And I was just sitting there straight facing the whole thing. And David's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm having contractions. They hurt. So we ended up telling his mom that we were going to go. Like, we got to go. And so we walked outside with everything, like the car seat, all that. And my neighbor, she's like, is it baby time? And I'm like, yeah. So we ended up making it to the hospital. And I was having some very painful contractions. Obviously not terrible, but like they hurt. Because I have really bad back labor. I had it with both of my kids. So we get checked in and we were like, okay, well, my OB was going to send me anyway to be admitted. And they were like, okay, who's your OB? And I told them, and then they were like, okay, well, we're going to get you all set up in a room. And they thought that I meant like a trauma room, but no, they were like, no, her OB said that she needs to be admitted to a labor room. And so we ended up going to a labor room, and they got me changed, and I was having so many contractions, and I'm like, oh my god, this hurts. And I got my epidural around 4 p.m. They, be like, okay, this is serious, you could get paralyzed, yada yada yada, and I was like, just give it to me, please. So I was like leaning up against the table, having contractions, shaking, my body was fighting them, I had so much adrenaline. And they're like, okay, you gotta stay still. So right as they stuck the needle in, I had a contraction, and like there was I guess it's a nerve in my back that you could feel all of that go up. And then they like taped it to my back and then laid me back, and they're like, okay, well, you should feel better in a few seconds or a few minutes. And like not even 5 minutes later, my legs started getting really warm. And like I loved my epidurals. I have had 2 epidurals, both times being with my children, and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna take a nap because I can finally sleep. So then around 8 p.m. my OB finally arrives, because my mom is like, hey, your OB's here. Like, she texted me because I didn't want anyone back in the room with me, and I obviously told everybody not to come to the hospital, but they didn't listen. So he comes back there and he checks me, and he's like, okay, well, you're about 8.5, 9 centimeters. And then they sat me up to get gravity to work to pull the baby down, especially since my body was contracting. Obviously, I couldn't feel it. I know some people say that their epidurals, they can still feel them. I could not feel anything. Like, I could move my feet, but I could not feel that. So then, I was progressing pretty nicely, and then they were like, okay, well, when you feel a lot of pressure, you need to call the nurses because that means it's time to push. And I was just sitting there, I was like, and then I was trying to take a nap, sitting all the way up. And then I felt, a lot of pressure, and I told David, I was like, we need to call them because I think it's time. And I was scared to call them, so he pushed the button. I was like, yeah, I need a nurse. And they were like, okay. So they came in, they laid me back, and they checked me, and they're like, okay, well, it's time to push. So then my OB came in, and he got ready, and then I started pushing at, hang on, I have to remember like all the times. Okay, I started pushing at 10:30 maybe, 10:35, and then at I started pushing at like 10:22, because at 10:40 p.m. my sweet little Evelyn was born. She was 6 pounds and like 13 ounces, I think. Wow, that like, seeing that is just so amazing, and thinking about it right now is like I can remember everything, even though I was numb, and like I was like, wow, a full-grown baby came out of me. So I'll have some photos at the end of like Evelyn and a little bit of Evelyn. I don't want to put too many though, because there's some wackadoos on the internet that might, be like, ooh, a cute little baby. And I'm like, it's mine. I'll get you. You're gonna get got. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I actually really liked talking about it. I know that my pregnancy story is kind of short compared to what other people put in, but I don't have the best editing skills. I only use iMovie. So I'm kind of limited to what I can do, but honestly, my pregnancy with Evelyn was rough. Not like rough, but like my morning sickness was rough, but I had all normal stuff going on. So like, there's not like a big story to tell. I mean, if you follow me on my social media, you'll see my kids from time to time, like on my Snapchat, on my Instagram. Well, no, because I don't put my personal Instagram on here. But Twitter, sometimes I post about my kids, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Like, if you are thinking about having a kid or having multiples, do it. Like, they say it's hard, especially going from 1 kid to 2 kids, but it's doable, especially with some teamwork going on. So, hope you guys enjoyed this. It was a chill video, maybe next time I'll do like makeup while I'm telling you about my birth story with Aria, because I have to do hers too. So I will see you guys in my next video.